When talking about the far right in India, it's really important to think about the historical context. And that's because the far right today has become part of the mainstream. It is really the mainstream of Indian politics and has been the dominant force for the last several years. And in that process of becoming the mainstream, many people want to forget its long roots, some of which are really quite frightening. Now, to understand the rise of the far right in India, I think we need to recognize two things about Indian society. And one is the incredible diversity of India. And you have religious diversity in the Indian subcontinent. You have about 400, 500 million Muslims today. You have huge numbers of Hindus, but within Hinduism is an extremely diverse religion with lots of different practices, rituals, and what also contributes to this diversity is the existence of caste, which is groups that emerge within Indian society that intermarry with each other, and they follow their own traditions. Now, so that's one thing, the diversity of Indian society. The second thing is the stark inequalities that characterize Indian society. And one of the most important lines of inequality is caste, because some castes are seen as superior to others, and the superior castes historically developed a lot of economic and political power, which allowed them to dominate lower castes that were seen as inferior. Now, the Hindu right really has its origins, or the Indian right, I should say, has its origins in the 1920s and 1930s, when a number of high caste Hindus, and high caste is important, became very concerned that Muslims were gaining a lot of political power within British India. This is the time of British rule in India. There was a nationalist movement building which was trying to mobilize Muslims, especially under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi in the late 19-teens. And the Hindu right emerges in the 1920s, the Indian right, to counter this. And the Indian right, and why I've also referred to it as the Hindu right, is because the Indian right really argued that the essence of being an Indian was to be a Hindu. So Muslims were seen as foreigners because it was not an Indian religion. It came from outside. Christians were seen as foreigners because it came into India from outside. And in the 1920s and 1930s, the leaders of this movement of Hindu nationalism were really sympathetic to Nazism, to fascism. They were great admirers of Hitler because, as one of them put it, he knew how to purify the race in Germany. So this is really the roots of the Indian right, and that's what's being forgotten today. Now, the other dimension of the Indian right is inequality, as I mentioned. And the Indian right has been dominated by high caste Hindus. So it's also a movement that's trying to reproduce the domination of lower castes by upper castes. So it's a kind of a triangular struggle against Muslims on the one hand and lower castes on the other. And Muslims become a way to try to unify the Hindu community. They become the enemy. So all Hindus, irrespective of caste, can unite against the Muslim. And in that process of unifying, forget about the caste differences that divide them.